It's another beautiful day. I mean, it was really gorgeous. Other than the wind that we had today, not really flyable, but it was good enough. Looks like we're ready to come online here, and it looks like we are live. We are live, everyone. Hello and welcome to season 3, episode 127. We got Chad Conrad tonight. This is going to be a really awesome podcast. As always, we got a bunch of people in the chat. Let's say hello to the people in the chat. We got John Wayne. What's up, John Wayne? Jim, Care PPG. We got Joshua Marsh, PPG. And Bill H joined us. What's up, Bill? And we got some more people coming in. So we are going to say hello to everyone on the panel real quick. So we'll start with our very own Linda Anderson, our Paramotor USA chick. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing good.
Where's the pom-poms? Yay!
Welcome, my chatters and my viewers out there. Love you bunches. Monday nights, this is the place to hang out. We always have awesome guests, and we got Chad tonight. And so we're just going to listen. He's got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. And just kick back, grab the popcorn, your snacks, and just enjoy the evening, because we are here on Monday night.
That is so true. Always good to see you, Miss Linda. If you want to be on our show, make sure you go over to paramotororusa.com. That forwards over to her Facebook page. Just PM her and say, hey, I want to be on clearproptv.com, paratalk.org, or just search for PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast.
That's right. Okay.
Woohoo! Well, thank you, Linda. Yeah. We also got Will Fly from willflyppg.com. What's up, buddy, old pal? You're on mute. You're on mute. Damn. There we go.
What's up, guys? It's good to be here. Yeah, been doing some flying lately. Feels good to get back in the air on a regular basis, something we haven't had the opportunity to do in the last few months. At least 2 months. So, yeah.
Has it been too windy or something, or what?
The winds, winds, exactly. But, I had a chance to fly a beautiful sod farm yesterday, and got to experience an older gentleman, and by older, I mean older than me, take his very first flight. And man, that's just an awesome experience. Never gets old.
I totally agree. It never gets old. If we want to see your crazy flying shenanigans, how do we get up with you, bud?
Just go to Will Fly on YouTube, or you can visit willflyppg.com.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much, Will. Will is going to be finding all the questions in the chat. So if you want to ask Chad a question tonight, just make sure you tag Will Fly, and he'll make sure that he sends all the questions to us so we know to ask Chad. We also got Jim from Canada. Maple syrup money, buddy. What's up, man?
Things are going good. I got a beautiful flight planned for tomorrow morning. The winds are looking good, and plan to be up at around 4 so that I can get into the air for a 3 or 4 hour flight.
Oh, really? 3 or 4 hours? That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be my first that length, so we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. So what are you up to as far as flights now?
I'm at 137.
And you'll be 138 tomorrow. That's awesome. And you also take care of us as far as paramotorcalendar.com and all of our stickers and stuff. You take care of us with that. I guess you are our sponsor. So tell us a little bit about your business and how we can get up with you if we want some decals or stickers or something like that.
Well, if you'd like to get some printing done, you can connect with me through carepp.com or contact me by phone. Number and contact info is on there. And there's also a do-it-yourself printing site there, so you can take advantage of that. And where we set it up and we ship it out.
So what's the DIY? .com. I know there's or .ca or something.
Yeah, DIYprinting.ca.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jim. It's always good to have you on the panel, but it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about Chad. Chad is our guest tonight. He has an amazing story story to tell. Chad Conrad, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely. So you've been flying paramotors since 2018. That's really awesome. And you live in Canada. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into paramotoring?
So I live in southern Alberta in Lethbridge, which is about 2 hours drive from Calgary. I'm about an hour north of Montana border. Got into flying. So I used to fly RC planes, and I would watch YouTube videos about it. And one day, one channel that I watched, it was called Flight Test, and their group of guys went down to Florida to do PPG training, and I'd never really seen it before, didn't know anything about it, but I thought it was really, really neat. My wife walked by the door as I was watching the video, and she says, "I'm surprised that's something that you wouldn't do." And to me, that sounded like, she was okay with it. Well, it sounded like permission to me. So I spent the next year or two watching videos online and found all the normal people that people find with PPG videos, and finally found a relatively local guy, Fly Guy Alberta, Jason Doutridge, and when he announced that he was going to be an instructor, I got in contact with him the next day and signed up for lessons with him. So, because at the time before him, there was only 2 other instructors, and they're quite a distance away from me, and he was by far the closest, and super happy that I went and did my training with him. Just a great experience all around.
That's awesome. Have you done any really good cross countries or anything like that?
I haven't done many. The biggest cross country that I've done was just a one-way, which was about 35 miles, I guess, one way from a little town called Fort McLeod to the field that I typically fly out of, which is just outside of Lethbridge.
And you said I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nothing extreme for cross country.
Gotcha. You said on the pre-show that you fly a Moster 185, you're 195 pounds, 5'10", and you have a 28-meter wing. And the first thing I thought was a 195-pound guy with a Moster 185 and a 28-meter wing? Why is that?
Yeah, because of the location, our altitude. We're right around 3,000 feet where I fly from. So that was the motor and the wing basically that Jason had said would be right for me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because when you first said that you're 195 pounds and you had a 28-meter wing, I'm like, I got a 28-meter wing. Oh, but I'm at sea level almost, and you're at 3,000 feet. Now, when you take off at that altitude right there, do you have to run really far, even with that 28-meter wing and that Moster 185?
Like everywhere else, it depends on the wind. If it's a nil wind, you're, I don't know, 20, 30 steps and you're into the air. It's not that long, once you get it stable and everything. So I don't think it's that long, but I don't know.
Okay. And then what is your actual motor frame? What do you actually fly in the
Kangut Classic.
Oh,
which
okay.
is that Canadian made frame. Yeah.
And what was the wing?
The wing is a Dudick Universal 1.1.
Okay. Have you flown any other motors or wings in your long career of flying motors?
Not very long. I started out with a Polini, and a Polini 190, and I had issues with it. That's the motor that I learned on, did all of my training on, and then I was unhappy with it basically, and that's when I got the Moster. But the one thing about having a crappy motor is that you really learn how to always fly with an out. Like I had so many motor outs during my training. I had more motor outs landings than landings that I killed the motor on. It was crazy.
Was it
Like I've
because
had,
the motor itself was dying on you,
Yeah,
or
that's
was it
right.
was
Yeah.
it a brand new motor?
yes, it was.
Really?
Yeah, I had real issues, fuel issues. It would lose its prime somehow, and we never did figure out why. But yeah, I've had at least 50 motor outs in my time flying.
Holy smokes, that's a couple more than me. Actually, that's a lot more than me. I guess you got really good at spot landing too.
I got really good at defensive flying, of always having an out. I'm always flying higher than I wish I would, and I'm always looking where do I land if my motor fails.
Wow.
Which where I fly is usually not an issue. It's the prairies. You have to look for power lines and stuff. That's your biggest issue around here. Trees aren't really an issue.
Okay. Jim, I think there's a question in the chat. You want to ask that?
Yeah, there's someone who's asking, Fly Swamper is asking, have you gotten the opportunity to fly the big trestle bridge?
It's funny. I was within about I would say 300 meters of it on yesterday morning. I've flown down the length of it a couple of times, but it's in a really strange spot for wind. If there's more than a 10-kilometer wind, it throws a lot of rotor and gets pretty uncomfortable pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons why you're here is because you had a ground starting incident, and
Yep.
you got hurt, unfortunately. And I'm glad that you're healed up.
Yep.
What year was it, and what happened exactly?
So that was 2019. And it was after I'd got my change from my Polini to the Monster. And so I was gearing up to go on a long flight with a friend. So I had lots of fuel in the tank, and I was getting all my gear ready, and I wanted to start up the motor, let it get warmed up while I was getting my wing and everything else ready. And I made, like I said, I made the conscious decision to be lazy. And it's straight up the only thing. I'd done a pre-flight on everything. Everything was normal, just the way it should be. There was nothing odd. I did check the throttle to make sure that the butterfly valve was opening and closing with the throttle. Made the conscious decision that I didn't want to pick the motor up, to put it on my back, to start it, to set it back down again and let it warm up. So my one and only time that I've ever ground started a motor, it went full throttle and pushed me to the ground and started chewing on my arm.
Now I've seen the pictures, and we're not going to show those pictures on here, but I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, you really got
Nope.
lucky on what happened. So when you had that prop strike, it was on your shoulder. Was it your right shoulder?
Left.
Your left shoulder? And all it did was take off the skin, and it didn't get into
That's
the
right.
muscle or anything else. So you really got lucky on this.
I cannot understate how unbelievably lucky I was. Like it had about a softball size piece of skin that was missing on the kind of the leading edge of my shoulder. And then I had a couple of little prop strikes on the bottom of my, just above my elbow. But yeah, it took nothing but skin. Like it didn't go into the muscle. It didn't go into that little thin membrane that covers the muscle. It was no surgery. I didn't have to get a skin graft, which I assumed when I first saw it that I was going to have to get a skin graft. but they let it heal for about a week, and a week or 2 weeks, I don't recall. I think it was about a week, and then the plastic surgeon just stitched it together. He just stretched the muscle or the skin all together and put 8 or 10 stitches in it, and yeah.
Were you wearing a helmet when you ground started?
Yeah.
Gloves too? Was this
No.
cold at the time? No.
It was a warm summer day. I don't recall, it was in July or August. So it was a warm summer evening. Yeah, I had my helmet on, and I most of the time start with my helmet on just for the ear protection and just for the sound reduction. But yeah, no, I had a hoodie on actually, and my wife, so it destroyed the left sleeve. It absolutely shredded it, and it put a little bit of a hole in the back of the shoulder as well. And I wear that hoodie now almost every time. I actually have it here. My wife made a patch for it. I don't know if you can read that.
Yeah, it says on the back or on the rack.
On the back or on the rack. And so that hoodie stays with me, or flies with me most every flight.
No, that is, I'm very happy that you are here and sharing your story. And the story is that, you've never ground started except for that one time. And that's when you made the decision that I just don't want to lift it up. I just don't want to lift it up.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was nothing but sheer laziness on my part. And the motor, like, it was relatively new. And it had always started on the first pull every time, like not an issue. And so I thought, okay, just this one time, I can't remember what I had, 14, 15 liters of fuel on it. I just didn't want to have to lift it up and put it on my back. And that was before, now I have a bench that I sit it on, so I don't have to lift it off the ground every time when I put it on. But yeah, it was just sheer laziness on my part that caused it.
Well, once again, really glad that you're sharing this with us. Anybody in the super chat that wants to ask a question, please be mindful that he is sharing a very a story that he could definitely keep private, but he's allowing us to talk about this because he doesn't want this to happen to anybody else. Ground starting, if you remember, back in the day when we were all watching Tucker Gott, he was ground starting. I mean, that was just a thing back then, ground starting, no big deal. But as time has gone by, we've noticed that ground starting is really dangerous. And there's only two places that we should start our motor, on the back and rack. And the one time that Chad decided not to, this tragedy happened. However, it's not something that is going to leave permanent scars. He can still use his arms and shoulders and everything. But I think the big question is, how much thrust was it? Did it feel like a train was pushing you down? Because I know everyone that I talked to always said, well, if I start on the ground, I know I can hold it back because I'm a big, strong man. So what kind of force pushed you down, and how quick did that happen?
So yeah, it's hard to describe. It was very fast. Like it was over within a couple of seconds, as far as I can figure out. It seemed it seemed, actually, thinking about it, that it took a really long time to happen, but it was over instantaneously. Like it that paradox of everything slowing down, slow motion, but nothing had happened in between. What it felt like, I can't really even describe it. It was just a force. It's not like being hit by something. It just pushed me down. It pushed me down on my back, and just with seemingly no effort. And all I was trying to do was kill the motor and try to stay away from it, try to keep my hands out of the prop's path. Because immediately when it started pushing me down, I could feel my shoulder burning from it hitting my shoulder and taking the skin off there. So people, I've heard it a lot of times from people that have said, yeah, I'd be able to hold it back. And maybe they can, but I don't think so, because I'm not a little guy, and it pushed me down like I was barely there.
Joshua Marsh, PPG, said loves the hoodie, and Fly Swamper said, "Oh, did Fly Swamper say it to Jim?" He said, "Assuming he'll get to it, but what caused the runaway on the throttle? Do you know what happened?"
No, and your suggestion is probably the most valid, because I did a full pre-flight inspection of the frame. Everything seemed normal. Everything operated like it should, and 100% I know for a fact that I checked the throttle. What was it in my hand when I started it? Yes. My hand was up against the back of the frame when I started it, and so could I have done it to myself? Pulled the throttle in as I was holding the frame, and that's likely what happened. I don't know. I can't remember, but that's almost for sure years of thinking about what could have happened. But that seems to be the only plausible explanation, is that I did it to myself. I did it through being lazy, and also by gripping the throttle when I pulled the starter.
Okay. We're not going to show the actual injury, the pictures that you posted earlier.
Yeah.
But James did ask if we could see it now that it's healed. So if you feel comfortable showing it, great. If not, don't worry about it. I don't want
Sure
to.
thing. So I've got, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's 3 strikes down here, and then there's that there.
Nothing a good tattoo can't cover.
Chad,
You know, I have thought about covering it with a paramotor tattoo.
There you go. A nice prop, right?
Yeah.
Were you going to say
some other
something,
people
Jim?
were asking, but yeah, some other people were asking what type of prop it was. It was a carbon fiber prop. And
It was.
you said that you were finding pieces of it for how long?
I still have pieces of carbon fiber come up. I just had one come up the other day, actually.
What do you mean come up?
They will. My shoulder is very itchy, and I'm assuming from the pieces of carbon fiber that are making their way out of my injury out to the surface of my skin, because occasionally a piece will come up. And that's after, like, a nurse one time when I was getting my dressings, I had to get dressing changed every day and then every other day later. But there was one nurse that spent about 45 minutes or so picking little tiny pieces of carbon fiber out of my wound. She had to have picked more than 30 or 40 little tiny black specks out of there. And that's what I get now, is just these little tiny black specks.
Did you say it was a helix or an E-prop?
It was a good question. It was the prop that came with it. It had to have been the Polini has the helix ones, don't they? That they come with if you order one from them.
Okay.
I think. I honestly don't know which would, because it was the first carbon fiber prop that I had with that motor that came with the motor.
Did you keep it as a souvenir?
No, it was just the pieces were maybe about six inches or so off the hub, so there wasn't much to.
Oh, so it really just shattered when it.
Yeah.
So do you think that it hit, like, did it hit your cage too?
Yeah, definitely.
So do you think that a majority of it was, hit the cage and then you just got a little bit on your shoulder, or do you think that was like?
I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't say.
Okay. Jim, any questions in the super chat?
Well, Tony, he made a statement. He says, you don't want to cover your scars with tattoos because your scar is your tattoo. That's your story.
Fair
That makes sense
comment.
to me. Yeah. And then another fly swamper mentioned again too that a person might think they can hold back a paramotor, but if it goes full, it's going to rotate on you, spin, and it's going to get you.
Yeah, you'd have to be a big, strong person to be able to hold it back. Man, especially when you're not, like, everybody that I've talked to always says, oh, I could hold it back. I'd be ready for it. I was ready for it. Like, I was ready. Like, I was sitting there with my hand on the frame to hold it back when I pull started it. And it happened so fast and it was over so fast that I have vague recollections and feelings of what happened. Like, it was so fast. It was too fast to really register.
Okay. Anybody on the
Was
panel
it
have any
easy?
questions? I'm sorry, what did you say, Jim?
Para Ninja asked, how did you kill the engine?
With the motor kill, the kill button on the throttle.
Did it work the first time?
No, it did not. You're in panic mode, and I can remember distinctly pushing and releasing the kill button, and then pushing and holding it in that couple of seconds that those things happened.
Pretty crazy.
Looks like we got
Yeah.
some. Looks like we got more questions. Looks like Travis said, "How long did it take after the injury before you got back in the air again?"
About, I'm gonna say it was 4 weeks or maybe 5. As soon as I could raise my shoulder or raise my hand above my head and not have the injury burn, at that point I was in the air. Yeah,
So would you say
as quickly
5
as I
weeks?
could.
Is that what you said?
About
5 weeks?
5 weeks is
Okay.
probably what it would be.
Wow. Having a panic attack just thinking about it. Well,
So now you travel with an assistant now, don't you?
To fly-ins, I do. Yeah, it's yeah. My wife's a rock star. Man, I couldn't have trained for flying. I couldn't do the flying I do. And I couldn't go to the fly-ins that I do without her support. She came to the fly-in where I met Jim, and yeah, she helped carry gear out to the LZ. She just, I don't know, she's just all-around rock star. That's all I can say.
it's hard to find those all-around rock star wives that help you with paramotoring. It's really difficult to find that.
She's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. And she's still letting you fly even after the injury.
She's trying to convince me to get my instructor certification so we can go tandem.
Ah,
Wow. Cool.
there you go.
Yeah, she actually got to ride tandem up in the fly-in on the May long weekend up in Innisfail. And she quite enjoyed it. She doesn't want to fly, she doesn't want to get the controls, but she likes being up in the air flying. So yeah, up here, I'm sure you have to be an instructor, or you both have to be pilots to go fly tandem. So
Yeah, down here we have to get a tandem exemption. We can't even take another pilot up. So
right.
that's pretty nice that you're able to take up another pilot without a tandem exemption, though. I wish that we had that freedom over here. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is. Jim may know more than I do.
Yeah, that's correct. But if they're a pilot, then a student pilot you can take up, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know that we've been talking for about 30 minutes. I mean, it just went by like that. Unbelievable. Your
Yes.
story is just wow. Once again, very happy and thankful that you're okay. It was not a horrible injury that could have, uh, dismembered you or caused
Yep.
death. Whew. And only that one first time that you ground started, this happened.
Yeah, and like I say, I've seen people ground start. I knew what the risk was. Like I knew, I was aware of what could happen, and I'd seen pictures of what had happened to people, and still decided to do it anyway. So, yeah, I just want people to be aware of the risk, be able to point to somebody to say, look what happened to that guy. Let's not do that. He was lucky. I might not be so lucky.
I've seen a lot of videos, unfortunately, popping up here and there about people ground starting. And I know a lot of people are like, it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure you,
No.
I'm sure you always thought that too. It's never going to happen to me. I'm just going to do this one time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I appreciate sharing the story. But let's go ahead and move on to other fun things. Now, you say that you have flown every single free moment that you get to fly since you started flying in 2018.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And
We
what
don't. I don't.
and what does that
we
mean?
don't
What does that
fly-
mean? You get up early in the morning and go fly? You fly midday? Tell us.
Oh yeah, no. So I fly when the weather is conducive to flying. I don't have the skills or knowledge base to fly midday. So I fly early morning, late evening. The 3 hours after and the 3 hours before. And we get a lot of wind. We get high winds here, and so like I get a lot fewer days of flyable weather than people do within, like, say 100 kilometers of here. I live in a really bad part of the world to fly a paramotor.
About how many hours do you think you, on average, fly a week?
Oh, a week?
Yeah.
On average, 1 or 2. Some weeks, like this weekend, I flew for 4 hours, but there's some months that I don't fly.
Oh, okay. So, what is your cold tolerance when it comes to what is the coldest that you've flown, and what's the coldest that that you would fly in from now on?
So the coldest I've flown is -10 Celsius, which is about would be 15 Fahrenheit-ish, somewhere in that range. 32 minus, yeah, about 10 to 15 Fahrenheit, somewhere in that range. That's the coldest I've flown in. The coldest I'll fly in now is probably -5 Celsius. So about 20, I guess. Is that 20 Fahrenheit? And those are short
Freezing.
flights,
That's
man.
still cold. That's ridiculously cold. I know people right
it
now
is.
that are listening that live in Florida are like -5 degrees. I don't even like to fly in anything, below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, let alone minus something.
There's a guy, he lives right around Calgary, and I know he's flown in -20 Celsius. So I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, -5 or so, somewhere in that range. I'm not sure.
That's
But he'll fly in. He flies. He learned how to fly the year after I did. He probably has 3 times as many hours in the air than I do. He flies all the time. It doesn't matter.
There's nothing wrong with flying all the time. I'm the same way. I
No.
fly every morning, noon, and night that weather permits, and
Yep.
I love it. I can burn some serious gas when flying, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Any questions on the panel?
Yeah, Fly Swamper was wondering what he does. What do you do for gloves, Chad?
So I have got heated gloves, electric gloves. They're heat in motion gloves. I think that they're built in Calgary. And for a jacket, I use a Milwaukee heated jacket as well. And I actually have heated boots also. So it's you got to use the technology when it's there.
Are your boots heated, or is it the insole that's heated?
It's a heated boot. It's they're actually a work boot that have batteries built, or batteries that remove from them, plug them in, and yeah, they're great boots. They're absolutely incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
got another question from Jason Renaud. He was wondering, what's the hottest temperature you've flown in?
Oh, I would say like close to 30, maybe a bit above 30 Celsius. So I'm not sure what that works out to, about 90-ish. Is that where it is?
86.
I can't. 86. Yeah, it wouldn't be much hotter than that. It doesn't really get much hotter than that in the evening, like when we're gonna go fly. So
Yeah, we had some really high temperatures over here and horrible heat indexes like 110
oh,
degrees, and it was just miserable. It was so hot that I didn't want to even try to take off and fly. It was just like, it's too hot. It's just too hot to
Yeah.
even, it's too hot to fly. Even though I know that I could get up in the air and get up to about, 2,000-3,000 feet and go, oh, air conditioner. But man, it's just hot. Any questions on the panel? Will, did you have any questions?
No questions, but
Okay.
I gotta say that, well, yeah, I guess I do have a question. How many flights roughly did you have when this happened?
Good question. I would have had easily less than 100. More than 60. Because it was the summer after I'd finished my training, and we have to have 30 flights to get your license in Canada. And so obviously I had 30. And it was midway through the next summer. So yeah, probably 60 to 75 flights, somewhere in that range.
Okay. And so you were like, how long did the whole thing take? The whole accident?
It like from pulling on the cord to getting the motor stopped was no more than a few seconds.
Few seconds. So a few
Just-
seconds made a major difference in your life, didn't it? Well, and I'm not judging in any way, because
No, yeah. No, it could have
I'll
turned
bet
bad.
you, I'll bet you that just about every paramotor pilot out there has been tempted at one time or the other to ground start, myself included. And so, I've been there, and I think it's something, and I applaud you for coming on the show and sharing your experience, because I think it's something that all paramotor pilots need a refresher on. That one time where you're thinking, I can get away with it, I don't want to, whatever. And it could make a major difference in someone's life. So, hey, thank you for coming on the show and talking
I
about it.
appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it too. Ever since you told me about your story, I have not done a ground starting since, and I haven't worried about that board. And it's not that hard. I actually do the ground start. I start it and I stay on my knees and my hands when I start it, and
Right.
then I get up after, just in case I have to put it down and go and reprime.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, like I said earlier, I know exactly how lucky I am to have gotten off with a story, and it hasn't changed. I haven't lost function or strength or anything. Like I'm so lucky to be able to tell the story and still be able to fly.
Absolutely. So how do you normally start your motor? Do you have a rack that you start on, or do you put on your back and start it? How do you do it normally?
Normally now, like I take my motor out in the trailer. I have a small cargo trailer, and I call it a drywaller's bench. It's a folding aluminum bench that I keep, and I throw that out onto the ground, take my paramotor, set it on that, do my pre-flight and everything, put it on my back from there, which is almost at a standing position, and start my motor. If I have any issues with starting it, or I'm tuning it or whatever, anything like that, then I have a board that I've made out of plywood and 2x4s and E-track to hold it down. So, but most of the time when I'm just going flying, I'm just on my back.
Do you fly by yourself, or do you fly with other friends? And if you do fly with other friends, do you have them start your motor, or are you always starting your motor yourself?
I about 50-50 for flying with friends. There used to be two guys that I did my training with, actually, that I flew with. One of them's moved out to the coast now, so it's just me and another guy. And I'll start it myself almost every time. I might get them to reprime it or give it another prime if I didn't quite get enough. But that's pretty much it. I'll just start it myself.
Okay. For the people that are listening in the super chat live, if you would, do you normally start it on your back or a rack? What is your normal? What I normally do is I start it on my rack that's on the back of my car. I start it up, let it warm up while I take out the wing and all that stuff, and then I will kill it to make sure the kill switch works, and then I'll bring it over and set up that way. How do you do it, Will, as far as starting yours up? Do you have a rack, or do you just always do it on your back, or what?
I do it on my back because I don't have a rack for the power to fly. I did for the Atom 8 for the Parajet. So then I did start it on the rack, and super convenient. So I'm going to get another one made just for that reason, because it can be a bear to start a Moster when it doesn't want to start, you know.
Yeah, I know with that. Those Atom 80s, man, one time it could sit in your garage for a year, and you could just go blap one time and it's going to start up. It's incredible. I love it. I wish that the Moster would do the same.
Yeah.
Jim, you have a Moster?
Yes, I do.
And how do you start yours? Do you have a rack, or do you have it, or do you just start on your back?
I started on my back.
Do you?
Yeah, but I just kneel on the ground and start it.
All right. Looking on the super chat to see if anybody says anything. Can we find him on social media? He's not a social media guy. So he does have a YouTube, but doesn't really YouTube very much. Jason says, I have and I won't do it no more. Oh, okay, good. He says his back. Avery flies back. I don't have a rack. Ninja. Honestly, I've been ground starting for about half the guys I fly with. It'll push me back from starting doing the ground starting. Okay, that's good. I'm glad that Ninja's gonna not do that anymore. That's why I got E-prop or a E-start, says Travis D. Moster usually starts when I'm pulling it to the top dead center, says Jason. All right, so looks like we got half and half. Paraninja said he's going to try to modify the hitch so we can start on that. Fly Swamper says on a rack, it's worth it, not just for starting, but for making it easy to get into. I guess so, yeah. So it seems like, we got 50-50 back and rack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Like I said, I'm so glad that you're feeling better and that you're healed up. If you do get a tattoo, we definitely got to bring you back so we can see the tattoo. But anyway,
I got a question.
Linda's got a question. Okay, go ahead.
So you're talking about, okay, the ground starting. Okay, so you said the rack. What are we talking about with the rack? Because I never see like on Facebook, like what is it? Is it just like, is just something that you say, you call a rack, but is it something, a rack? You hang it on something?
Well, just for everybody, so Linda does not fly. She is our PR girl, but she's also here because she doesn't know all the things that we know, and she is the newbie that helps us,
Yeah.
explain things that we think that everybody knows. So obviously people don't know back or rack. Okay. The back is when you put on your shoulders and you start it on
Okay.
your back. A rack is anything that we can bolt or tie down the motor to
Okay.
and start it that's not on a person. So I have a hitch on the back of my car that has
Oh, okay.
a thing that I keep my motor on, and I
Yeah.
can start it that way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Other people have like a board or something that they can put the motor down on the board like a piece of plywood and start
Okay.
it that way. So a rack
Oh.
could be anything that you put
Okay.
your motor actual person.
So some people prefer to start it on the rack as to starting it while it's on their back, right? Is that what you're
And I
saying?
think that the reason why it's easier to start on the rack is because on your back, it's heavy. Even the lightest ones are heavy. So I think that's the reason why Chad said originally, it's like, man, I got the full tank of gas. I just don't want to lift it up and put it on my back. And
Okay. Wow. Okay. So everybody kind of does it what they feel comfortable with.
yeah, usually a back or rack or something. Will Fly is showing something
Okay.
there.
Let's see.
Paramotor rack. So if you're watching this,
How heavy is that?
it's connected to your car. It's on a hitch.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right.
And they're all designed differently. Some are designed
Okay.
just for a specific paramotor, and
Okay.
some are just a general hitch that you can put on the back. Like
Okay.
I got one from Harbor Freight. It's like $39. It's the one that you put like a big cooler on the back, but I put my
Okay.
paramotor on the back.
So
Thanks,
while
Will.
it's you got it hanging there on that rack, and then you decide, well, I'm ready to fly. So you start it up, and then you just throw it on your back.
Now, usually we'll put it on the rack to warm up.
Oh.
That way,
Okay.
when we put it on our back, it's usually a quick one pull, and then
Oh.
the paramotor will start.
But you turn it off, you warm it up, you turn it off, then you put it on your back, and then, okay, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying to picture all this. I'm like, so, because like it's go, you start it up and then you just pull it off the rack and throw it on your back. And I'm like, well, that can't be safe.
And thank you very much, Linda, for asking that question, because, we've been doing this. This is our third season, our third year of doing this podcast. Yeah. And after a while, we kind of think that everybody has our knowledge, and we forget that, the simplest things like rack, maybe someone that doesn't fly doesn't know what it is. So thank you, Linda. We definitely appreciate you being on the panel.
Oh, good. No, I learn every time, every show I learn something, something different. And yeah, I didn't really know about, because people don't really talk about too much the rack, using the rack. So now I know, what that's about. So even though I did get my first tandem, so, so I did actually fly, Grandpa.
Yes, you did.
But I don't fly like you guys, but I did, do my first tandem. So I feel like I flew. I mean, I was up there,
We are very proud of you. Yes, we are very proud of you. Can't wait for you to go up again.
I know. Soon. Yeah.
Soon.
I'm sure it will happen. But yeah,
so,
thank you.
So Chad, let's say that you're out at a fly-in or something and you see somebody ground starting. Would you go up to them and say, yo, let me tell you a story?
I guess it depends, I guess, whether I have a rapport with the person or not. usually, I think that I wouldn't go one-on-one and just say, hey, no, that's not a great idea. I would say it more of in a group setting of, this is what happened to me, take it as you want it. It makes me cringe though. I see people ground starting in it. I have to turn away, honestly, because it just, all I can see is that thing coming at me. And I just don't want it to happen to anyone else, and I definitely don't want to be there if it happens to someone else. Yeah. So to answer the question, I probably wouldn't do it as they're doing it.
I understand. It's difficult to do that, to talk to anybody that you don't know. So I totally understand. But you were alone at the time? No, you had a group of people that you're going to go on an XC with.
Yeah, my buddy, one of the guy that moved out to the West Coast, he was with me, and I remember it's funny. I hadn't really thought about it. When I have a flash of when I'm going down, I can see him coming at me and then pausing because he knows that there's nothing he can do. And he was on the backside of my paramotor when it happened. And I can see him starting towards me and then stopping, because obviously there's absolutely nothing he could have done except for get himself hurt as well.
Exactly. And the thing is too, ground starting, it's not just you could hurt, it's somebody around you that you can hurt.
Sure.
I haven't really been in the sport very long, but I've met with a lot of people that got hurt or was in the vicinity of somebody ground starting that got hurt. Even a story of somebody getting their brand new paramotor. They were like, oh, this is really cool. They haven't gone to training yet. They started it up, went full throttle, didn't hurt that person, but it did hurt another person and got the other person. So, you may walk away unscathed, but your friend could, be walking away with a big cut or something. So it's not just you got to think about, it's other people. And I suppose if you're out there all by yourself, there is a way of starting it, ground starting, that's safe or safer. And that's if you have a clutch, you can wrap something around your frame and the clutch and your prop. If you land out someplace and you can't get the darn thing started, there are safety ways to do it. So I always bring a little strap that is in my little case. So in case I do land out and I can't start it on my back, I can safely start it if I do land out. So thank goodness I haven't landed out and needed to do that, because that still scares me. We're about 5 minutes or so, 7 minutes of 8 o'clock. And this has been an amazing podcast, amazing guest. Chad has jumped on here and told us a story about that one time in his 3-year flying career, he decided to ground start. And that one time it went full throttle, even after he checked it to make sure that the linkage went all the way in and out. It still went full throttle. It got his left shoulder. He was out of flying for about 5 months, but now he's flying again. And he's jumped on the show to let everybody know that, this is my story. And he wants to make sure that you guys, hear the story and don't ground start. I know I'm like, just, I can feel it. I can see it in my mind. I saw the pictures of it again and I'm like, wow, this is, even if I thought about ground starting, I'll think of Chad in this interview and I'll be like, nope, ain't gonna do it. Let's see, let's talk about your annual fly-in. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
So tell us about your fly-in and what that's all about.
So I fly at it used to be a private airstrip, and now it's a RC club actually, and I found it by flying over it. and I decided I had to go talk to whoever was the landowner to see if I could get permission to fly out of it. And so I've been flying out of it. That's where my accident happened, as a matter of fact. But last year, after all the COVID stuff settled down, I decided that we needed to have more fly-ins in Alberta, because as far as I knew, there was only one other one that happened irregularly. So I thought people needed to come down to my field and find out about it, because it's almost like a golf course. The grass is just absolutely perfect. Like it's crazy how good it is. There's an area that's about, well, there's a runway that goes into prevailing wind that's not quite a quarter mile long, but the majority of where we would take off is about 400 feet square. And so we can take off of it from any direction. And there's almost no buildings or any, there's one clubhouse kind of building there. But other than that, there's no places for rotor to start or anything. There's no power lines nearby. There's no trees nearby. It's just absolutely perfect place. And so I just wanted the people that were, could come to fly at my field and go take the sights of my area. And so, yeah, last year was the first one. We're putting it on again this year. It's a Labor Day weekend, which is the first weekend of September. It's called the Bridge City Fly-In because we're just right outside of Lethbridge.
Yeah, I've got a quick question.
And this was the
about
first. This was the first year.
Last
You
year,
said this was the first year.
last
This was
year,
the first year,
correct.
and this is gonna be the second annual in September.
That's right. You
Okay.
betcha.
Sorry, Jim. Go ahead, bud.
I had a question about the Bridge City. I just happen to live right next to Bridge City, Saskatoon. And so I was wondering why Lethbridge is considered a bridge city.
Well, there's the high level bridge, which is what everybody thinks that got the name from, but that had nothing to do with the name. It's somebody's last name. It was important back in the late 1800s or whatever. Their name was Lethbridge. So there is a high level bridge and the city's named Lethbridge, but yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact.
Okay.
But it is it's a trestle bridge, and it's supposedly the highest, longest bridge of its sort. And I don't know how high it is. I think it's about 300 feet high, and it's just over a mile long.
So that would be an interesting flight down that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I want to go through that bridge so badly, but the weather is never conducive. It's always turbulent down there.
Cool.
All right. It's about 8 o'clock, and I know Will Fly said that he needs to leave about 8 o'clock, so we're gonna send Mr. Will Fly off, and hopefully he can go and get some flying in.
Yeah.
No?
No, a little too late for that.
Bummer. Well, so happy that you joined us tonight, and thanks again, Will. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys helping me out, because I can't, look at this, the chat, do this, the interview, and everything else. So Will and Jim, Linda, you guys really helped me out a lot, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You bet. And Chad, it was real nice meeting you, and thank you again for coming on.
You bet. Thank you. Nice to meet you as well, Will.
Right on. Good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Night,
Will.
Mr. Will. Have a good one, bud.
You too.
So, Chad, any for your flying that's coming up, if Americans want to come up and we don't, we can't fly there and just hang out with you, how do we get to your flying just to hang out with you?
Excellent question. I've posted on Facebook on Paramotor Alberta and Paramotor Canada in the coordinates, and I think the coordinates, and there's a screen grab of Google Maps of the exact location. So it's most people don't know where Lethbridge is. People don't even know where Alberta is in the States. It's western Canada, just north of the Alberta border or the Montana border. And it's about an hour's drive north of what the heck's the name of the Cut Bank? Cut Bank is the border crossing there, or Sweetgrass. Yeah.
Wish I could make it up there. I wasn't able to make it to any fly-ins over here. Have you been able to make it to any fly-ins down here in the States?
No, but I would really like to. It seems like it's a lot of fun, a lot of great people, a lot of things to learn from people that have been doing it for a long time, and just great to go to see different locations and go flying. That would be fantastic. Hopefully next summer though.
Gotcha. We got 14 likes. If you guys like this, please like it, and that really helps us a lot. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Anything else, Jim or Linda, that you'd like to ask Chad before we close out for the night? Or any other questions in the super chat?
I was wondering how many people he expects to show up at the fly-in.
Last year we had 12 show up, 11 one day, 11 the next day. There was one guy that was there the one day that wasn't the next. But yeah, so 11 pilots each day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was the weather?
Hopefully, how was the weather? Out of the 3 days we had, the day before it started officially was the Unicorn Day. There was fog in the river valley and not a breath of wind, and it would have been awesome to have everybody fly that day, but nobody was there. We had 2 really good sessions of flying, and then one session some guys went up and flew in vertical loops. They were going into the wind and going up and flying backwards and coming back down and flying into the wind. It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, we had a
been crazy.
we had a question in the chat, said something about how does one go from the US to Canada to a fly-in? If you go to Canada for a fly-in, you're just going to be hanging out because we can't fly there, unfortunately. So we can't fly in Canada. There are some ways of doing it, but we'd have to get our student pilot's license?
Yeah, I think you'd have to get an instructor to sign off on it. Students. So yeah, unfortunately.
So we could, it's possible.
Okay, probably.
But going to a fly-in is not about flying, it's about hanging out with the people. When I go to a fly-in, it's like I don't do a whole bunch of flying. I like to hang out and meet new people, meet all the people that I've seen online and watch their videos and listen to their story and stuff. It's like I finally want to meet up with people. And it's hard to do that when we have a bunch of Canadian people that we watch on YouTube and we bring on the show. I would really like to go to Canada. I love Canada. It's so nice. I've been there so many times. Just a beautiful place. I still got my loonies and toonies. I'll never get rid of those. And it's just a great place. People are wonderful, very, very kind, and their money smells like maple syrup, and I like maple syrup. Anyway, any other questions in the super chat or any other questions?
Deweese Milstead was wondering where you got that shirt from.
The shirt that I'm wearing?
I think the one that you're wearing, yeah.
The shirt that I'm wearing, I got from the ABC store in Maui in Lahaina.
There you go.
Nice.
I
have those patches. I want one of those patches that say back or rack. Those patches are your wife needs to sell those things. That's great. I mean, they need everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got a small one. We've designed a few, like the patches that I make for our fly-ins, I've designed and my wife makes them. And so Yeah, I have several patches that are demerit awards, like needed stitches or ran out of fuel or tangled lines. Lots of goofy things that have occurred to me about what you know, the opposite of the Boy Scout merit badges, right?
There you go.
Okay.
Fly Swamper says Maui is where all true Canadians go for vacation, I think. And
I love
Bill
Maui.
H said that he was born in Canada too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The things that we learn when we go to PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, man, you learn things about paramotors. You learn, where Canadians go to
That's
vacation.
That's right. My birth mom, I'm adopted, so actually I found out years ago, my birth mom is French Canadian. So there you go. Yep. So I just gotta share that. See, I never knew that.
That's awesome. Well, it's been an amazing podcast and amazing story. I know that I've really enjoyed this. I enjoy all Mondays. I enjoy all guests, but this is really good because I'm really hoping that this might catch somebody, and somebody might listen to this and go, you know what? I was going to ground start today, but I saw the podcast or I listened to the podcast, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And it might save your skin, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No, this
Any
is
words of
good.
wisdom, Mr. Jim?
I'm all out.
All right. Well, it is summertime, and I know that everybody wants to either go fly or hang with the family. And I got a full living room of people that are waiting for me to come over there. So I'd love to be able to hang out and chat for hours upon hours, but I won't be able to make it tonight. So Chad, it's been so wonderful. Thank you, sir, so much for coming on the show, and thank you so much for sharing your story, buddy.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to do it anytime.
Absolutely. We definitely
Thank you,
appreciate
Chad.
you.
Appreciate you. Be safe out there.
Try to.
Definitely. So what we normally do is we normally go through the panel and we say goodbye to everybody, and we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Jim. Tell us a little bit about your printing company and how we can get up with you, sir.
Yeah, if I can help you out with any printing, I just check in with carepp.com and I'll help you out any way I can. And something that I wanted to mention was Harry Ninja. He made a comment in the chat here. He says that this podcast is the push that he needed. And I'm assuming that is to start on the rack or on the back. So that's awesome.
Good. Very happy.
And if you want to find out about my paramotor shenanigans, then that's careppg.com.
That's awesome. Hey, now we're running a thing as far as the paramotorcalendar.com, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that? How do we upload and where do we go?
Go to paramotorcalendar.com and you can upload pictures your favorite pictures of paramotoring. Make sure they're yours, and you can put them on there. And then after a little while, once we have a few there, we probably in a month will start voting on who's going to get to be in the calendar.
Ooh, I like that. So you can go to ppgzone.com, sign up for a free account, because that's where you have to upload. Even though paramotorcalendar.com forwards there, you still need to have a free account. Upload your best paramotor pictures. Make sure they're yours. You have to have the right to upload them, because we're going to print them and we're going to give them away. And I think that PPG Zone also sells them, and Jim will probably sell them too from Canada. Yes? Even though your company's in Canada, Jim, if we're over here in the States, we can still order stuff from you and you can still ship to us.
You betcha. No problem.
There you go. That's awesome. And if we just want to do it ourselves, a DIY type of thing, you have a website for that too, yes?
Yep, DIYsprinting.ca, and you can do your own designs. You can set the whole thing up and you hit submit and pay, and it'll get sent out to you.
Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Jim, for helping us out. I see Linda, Paramount USA, has a calendar from
I have mine.
our last
From,
Paramotor calendar.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to getting the one for next year, because this is where I'm old school. So this is where I put all my guests on the calendar. So then when Sean says, who we got next week? Then I go, oh, we have. That's it.
Awesome.
I'm not the one like, okay, I put everything on my phone. I like these calendars on my front.
Yes.
So yeah, I have I'll get this one and then I'll order something else, and I'll have like 3 calendars going on because you got to keep track of everything. So there you
Yeah.
go. So
I'm
everybody,
old school too.
make sure you get your new calendars for next year from this guy, because they're pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing all those pictures that are going to come on from all my flyers out there and everything. So,
And I think that paramotorcalendar.com is actually forwarding over to the old one. I gotta switch that over. So until then, just go to ppgzone.com. It's right on the front page on ppgzone.com. ppgzone.com.
it sounds like a souvenir because how cool he did the back. So we can just kind of see, the whole history of PPG, with the clear prop, TV, shenanigans and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to keep this. This is really cool. But if you want to catch me on Thursday night, you'll see me on the chat, or sometimes in the Zoom. If I behave, Robert lets me come on the Zoom, but it's paraglidingtalk.com on Thursday night with your host, Robert Michaels. So we talk paragliding and sometimes paramotors. You never know what guest is going to show up. I can't even tell you right now because I never know, but it's super fun. Sometimes it's open topic night. You never know. So come out and join us on Thursday nights with Robert Michaels, paraglidingtalk.com.
Well, who's this Robert Michaels guy to you? Do you know this guy?
Oh, I know. I like when you ask me. I always wait for you to ask me that, Grandpa. Yes. That's my son. That's my number 1 son. And then, of course, I have my number 2 son here in Michigan. But I have my number 1 son in San Diego. So, yes.
I wonder if Robert knows what type of awesome PR chick you are for us and all the you get and all the things you do. I tell you, he needs to hire you because
he knows, things. I'm like, well, I am the PR, because sometimes I have to, message him on Thursday. Is there a show? And sometimes they'll say, no, not tonight, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And then I have to step in and do what I have to do,
Oh my goodness.
That's why.
Yeah.
I wish I was on the payroll, but I'm the PR.
I wish I had a payroll that I could pay you and Jim and everybody that comes on here. I really wish I could afford that. So
honestly,
I've been playing the lottery, so maybe one of these days I'll get paid and I'll pay you guys. So until then,
I love it though. Between this show on Thursday and then I follow the other shows during the week, and it's so fun. And I thank all of you for following everybody's show during the week. I thank you for being here tonight, my chatters, my viewers. We totally appreciate you.
Definitely
do. I just want to give a shout out, as I do on Monday night. So know that they are appreciated.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Miss Linda. You're awesome. Thank you, Jim. We appreciate you. Will Fly from Will Fly PPG helped out today. We definitely appreciate him. And our guest tonight, Chad Conrad. He had an amazing story about a prop strike. And we had some comments in the super chat that said, I don't think I'm going to ground start anymore. So this helped at least one person. So we appreciate you, Chad, for coming on here and sharing your story.
Yeah.
helping at least one person right now, but who knows? This could be a whole chain of events that you could be helping hundreds of people.
Hope
Yep.
so.
That's what the show's about. All
Absolutely.
help out each other. All right.
Well, once again, Chad, thank you so
Thanks.
much for
Thanks, Chad.
joining us. Don't have any social media that you
No,
share to.
no.
You're really old school. You got a MySpace. Gotcha.
No.
Wow, that goes way back.
I think I still got a MySpace, but I haven't logged into it in like 20 years. So who
Probably.
knows?
I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. My computer would probably crash. I know if I tried to find it, it'd be like, yeah, not going to happen. So
That's so funny. All right. Thank you again, Chad. If you guys stay here for just a moment, we're going to
Okay.
kill the live streams and all that stuff. We're going to talk for a
Okay.
couple of minutes privately, and
Okay.
then we're going to go nighty-night because, you know, I'm an old grandpa. You know, this doesn't come naturally. I got to get lots of sleep.
Oh,
All right,
All right.
guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. You're watching PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, clearproptv.com, paratalk.org. You can find us on your favorite podcasting apps. Just search for PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, and we are everywhere, including Amazon. If you want to go to Amazon, you type in PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, boom, guess what? We pop up. And even Prime Music. Who would have thunk? But anyways, we appreciate you. We get about 500 to 1,500 people listening to our show, either live, Memorex, or our audio that we have out there. So we definitely appreciate everyone that has listened to us over these last 3 years. And, if you want to find me, I'm PPG Grandpa. So you can find me at ppggrandpa.com. Chad, once again, thank you, sir. We appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow, maybe at is PPG Shane still doing his, or PPG Lear still doing his on Tuesdays? If not, paramotorgirl.com is doing it on Wednesdays, an all girl podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll see you someplace, somewhere, somehow. Y'all have a great evening. We'll check you later. And stopping the live stream.